Hey, what's up, guys? I just wanted to make a video tonight about some ways that I have used books for language learning. I'm going to be talking about tonight are extensive reading and intensive reading. I've done some talking about these methods for reading and learning languages on my channel in the past, but it's been a while, and I just figured I would retouch on the subject, especially for the new people who are just joining my channel. So, basically, the main difference between intensive reading and extensive reading is kind of just what it sounds like. Extensive reading is reading a lot. It's reading like you normally do. You're just reading for pleasure, reading for fun, reading through lots of books. You're just going to start a book, go through it, and keep reading, mainly for fun. You're not stopping to study words. You're not looking at grammar and stuff. You're really just reading for pleasure, and you're plowing through as much as you can, aka reading extensively. Intensive reading is different. You're not reading for fun or for pleasure so much as reading in order to study the language. You're reading in order to learn something, and you're a lot more focused. You're a lot more intentional about using that time that you're reading in order to learn aspects of the language that are coming up in what you're reading. So you're looking at grammar, you're studying what you're reading, you're looking up every word so that you have really good understanding. If you don't understand something that you read, you find someone that can help you understand what it is. You might read one page over and over and over again until you understand the whole thing, until you understand every bit of grammar, until you know what every word means on the page. And there's benefits and disadvantages to both of these styles of reading. Okay, I'm not advocating for one or the other. I've used both of them, and I think they're both important. Some famous linguists, especially Stephen Krashen, who is maybe the most popular linguist in the second language acquisition field, strongly advocates for extensive reading. He calls it free voluntary reading. And he just says that one of the best ways that you can read, that you can language, is simply by just reading for fun, reading as much as you can, and not stopping all the time and like worrying about grammar and trying to study and trying to put a lot of effort in learning. You're just reading for fun, and the learning will come naturally. That's the argument there. And I have, I have a lot of agreement with him. I think it's great to spend a lot of time reading. I personally try to do it as much as I can. Try to read in my foreign languages, read extensively. The hard part comes when you are at like a lower intermediate, or when you're at a point where you can't really read a whole lot. You can't read things that you're really interested in. You can maybe read children's books or read simpler things, but you're going to be missing a lot if you're reading anything at a higher level. And so for me personally, that's when intensive reading comes in. Okay, I don't do intensive reading in Spanish or in French or even in Esperanto anymore, because it's just not fun. And I don't think it'll be as beneficial as just reading as much as I can, because I'm, proficient in those languages enough where it just won't be that beneficial. I do use intensive reading when I'm learning Thai, because I don't speak Thai well enough yet to read novels. I would just be so lost, or I would be looking up every word. It wouldn't be in. Really, I can't do intensive. I can do intensive reading, and I can do it a lot. Okay, and I'm still at the point. Of course, Thai is much more difficult to read in, because it's one of the most difficult writing systems I've ever heard of. But I'm reading children's books. I'm reading them intensively. That means I have to study. I'm not reading it because I enjoy reading children's books. I'm trying to get language learning out of it. And this book is called Male Kero, and I've read it probably 50 times. and I have a certain method that I use for reading these books. This is one that I started reading a little bit more recently, and it's called Ban Lang Noi. And these books, as you can see, are very simple. I mean, if you said, this is maybe the mix of, just a few words per page. But it's on a level that I can read easily. And I pretty much have the whole book memorized, okay? That's how many times I've read this book. And you can see even like, I make little notes and stuff. I don't know if you can see because I think my light is flashing it out. I make little notes to myself, like about what these words, like kind of circle words and underline things and make little notes about what the words mean. Kind of done the same thing in this one. See, you can tell just super simple books. The writing is like really easy, but that's really useful because I'm getting so much exposure to the same thing. I'm learning how the language works. Okay, I'm learning what it's like. And I'm memorizing phrases. I'm not just memorizing words. I'm memorizing phrases that are created by native speaker authors. Well, these were originally written in English, but translated by native speakers. I have a few book series here, which these are, I believe, originally in Thai. And again, very simple. This is maybe a little bit more extensive than the other book. Really studied all the way through. Then I'll probably start progressing to others. And I eventually probably even keep coming back to these books, even after I have progressed past. I just want to keep them in my mind, and I don't want to forget the phrases and the grammatical nuance that I learned in these books. This series is really interesting. This series is actually for learning English. So it has, like learning English for people who are native Thai speakers. So it has the story here in Thai, and then it has translation in English. And I have different types of books like this. See, this one is called The Busy Day. It's like two-sided and it has the same thing in Thai. So you can read through the Thai version of the book on one side, and then you flip it over and you can read through the English version of the book, which I'm probably going to be doing a lot of to make sure I understand what I'm reading. But after you do that so many times, you just start to get used to it, and you do start to memorize these books. Let's see. And then this is another book series I have. I actually have 3 of these books, just based off of different dinosaurs. And this is really interesting because these are also designed for learning English. And it's funny because I feel like this is maybe the worst possible way that you could go about learning English. The story is written in Thai, and then they have just like a few words here and there in Thai highlighted, and then they give the English translation of those words. And I feel like, honestly, if I wanted to read this book to learn English, I would be flying through reading in Thai, and then I wouldn't even pay attention to the English translations. So I don't recommend this kind of book for learning a foreign language, unless you're learning the language or for the people in for it. Hi, Gary Salutone. He says, unfortunately, I can't watch right now, but I'll come back and watch later. Cool. I know I started this live stream kind of early in the morning for the United States, but it's okay because I feel like I'm going to be mostly doing a monologue and just talking about my reading techniques rather than taking questions. Unless there's questions at the end, then I'm always open to talking to people. So yeah, that's 3 in this series that I have, 3 books in this series. So I'm going to be doing a lot of extensive reading, although it does take me a long time to get through a book because, like I said, I don't just read through the book. I study the book and I memorize the book and I read it over and over and over and over. I'll read these books every day. And one more thing that I started doing is I went on Reddit. I went on the Reddit for people learning Thai, or just the Thai subreddit. And I posted pictures of these books, of every single page of these books. And I said, is there a kind native speaker out there who would be willing to just read this book for me? Obviously, it doesn't take that long because, I mean, look how simple the words are. So it doesn't take super long for someone, some kind soul, to go out of their way and read the story and send you an audio file. They sent me MP3s of them reading the story. And so now I can not only read the story every day, but I can listen to a native speaker pronouncing all the words, and that's really helpful. And I do that, I try to do it every single day. And on top of that, I also went on Audacity, which is an audio file editing software, and I was able to slow down the speech so that I can really get a good feel of how they're pronouncing these words. And I was able to cut up the words, and I even when I would repeat each phrase, or like copy and paste each phrase, each page, each line, so that as I read through, he's reading slower than usual, which makes it to understand, and I'm getting 2 repetitions of each page for every one time that I read the page. It says like Tek chai tua noi yong male kera long nai din. Tek chai tua noi yong male kera long nai din. And I read the same thing twice, or the same thing is read to me twice, and then it would go to the next page. แม่ของเด็กชายพูดว่าแม่คิดว่า and you know, and so I go through the whole book reading each page twice. If you don't know how to do that on Audacity, actually I feel like I made a video a while back. I'll go back, and if I can remember, I will link to that on Audacity. It's a free software for editing files, and I find it very useful for my own materials. So all that to say, even if you can't read extensively in a language yet, there are definitely ways about reading intensively. And it's going to take me a while before I get to the point where I'm reading novels. I'm not going to be reading Harry Potter in Thai anytime soon. But this is the step for getting there. Once I do become a little bit more proficient in a language, I don't want to keep reading the same thing over and over. And I definitely don't want to read children's books. I want to read something that's useful for me, interesting to me. And an app that was really useful for me is called Link. It's not just an app. They have a site. I prefer the app. It's just more convenient. But essentially what you do is you upload audio and ebooks, whatever file you have of the book. Or you can just go on and find preloaded books in the language, and they have a bunch of languages, probably 30 languages or something. Did have, and you simply read through the books. It's not just an e-reader. It's not just a ebook reading app. It's designed specifically for language learners, in the sense that every time I get to it's going to show me every word that I haven't yet encountered in this app. And then when I swipe to the next page, it didn't click on the word and tell it that I don't know what this word means. Once I swipe to the next page, Link is just going to understand that every word that was in blue, I already know. And then it's going to count that towards my known words, which is really keeping track of your language progress. So right now, according to Link, I know 11,576 words in French. I probably know actually a lot more than that, but it's still, you know, still working through and counting the words that I do know as I swipe through pages. And that's really useful to me. Right now I'm reading 5 Weeks in a Balloon by Jules Verne, just because I was able to get a free PDF file of, it's you know, the copyright is long expired, so it's in the public domain. I was able to get a free copyright of it, and now I'm reading authentic French texts for free on Link. And it has a great way of just helping you remember which words you're working on, and remember it'll highlight words that you're still struggling with. Like you can see here on this page, it just remembers that it'll just remember that I didn't know what chimérique means, or garant. So every time I get to those words, they'll be highlighted in the story. And then I can simply click on them and get a dictionary definition on the side. It's really useful. So I highly recommend using Link once you have graduated past the beginner levels. And even in the beginner levels, they do have lower level, beginner level courses on Link, and I find that very useful as well. And that's Link with a GQ. It's spelled really strange. L-I-N-G-Q, not L-I-N-K. So those are the two methods that I use for intensive reading. I study a lot. I use children's books, and I read them almost every day while listening to the audio. For extensive reading, I prefer to use my iPad. I use Link. I've also done videos in the past on how to read extensively with physical books, and I think that's also a very valid way of doing it. It's just a little bit more convenient and a little bit more helpful for me to use Link. So I'm a big supporter of that system. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. I'm going to end it here, and I will see you guys next time.